Thank you for downloading this in-ear entertainment podcast. You're listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets. Sonnet number 6. Then let not winter's ragged hand deface in thee thy summer, ere thou be distilled. Make sweet some vial, treasure thou some place with beauty's treasure, ere it be self-killed. That use is not forbidden usury, which happies those that pay the willing loan. That's for thyself to breed another thee, or 10 times happier, be it 10 for 1. 10 times thyself were happier than thou art. If 10 of thine 10 times refigured thee, then what could death do if thou shouldst depart, leaving thee living in prosperity? But not self-willed, for thou art much too fair to be death's conquest and make worms thine heir. That was sonnet number 6 from Shakespeare's Sonnets. Thank you for joining us this week. I'm Mark Chatterley.
I am Thierry Heles.
And we're slowly working our way through the sonnets. Sonnet number 6 is very much a follow-on from sonnet number 5. As much more than any of the other numbered ones, it actually could be read as one large double sonnet, I suppose. I've been wittering on a bit too much already, so I'm going to pass over to Thierry, who can talk in an authoritative way about this sonnet.
Authoritative is raising the bar again. Quite high. We have some, obviously, we are continuing straight from Sonnet 5 here. We going straight back into the destruction of winter here. The winter's ragged hand, deface, or the fields that it destroys, and, all the crops that haven't been taken in.
Yes, and also deface, it's not, destroyed would imply something inanimate. Defaced is literally defacing as well. It's the destruction of a beautiful thing.
And what I find interesting about this one is we're also returning to the image of money lending.
Yes.
That we've had in Sonnet 4.
Yeah,
Sonnet 4.
3 and 4, I think, were very monetary-based or investment-based in various ways, I think. Yes, and so in terms of that, this whole 10 times that gets repeated quite a lot, is that do you think a direct reference to sort of the investment, returns on investment, so to speak?
I guess so. I mean, if he passes his beauty on, one child would make him happy. Yeah. But then if he had a return on his investment of 10 children, it would make him, 10 times thyself were happier than thou art. So he could increase his happiness tenfold. I'm not sure. Speaking again from the modern age, someone having 10 children to look after would ever truly be happy. But then
that sounds more like a headache.
Shakespeare's time, they still had quite a few problems with cot death as well.
Yeah, and
so
childbirth.
Quite a few children. Yeah. Quite a few children died very young.
I suppose, yes. And
even then, I mean, you had the boys to help you on the field. Girls obviously just cost you money in the end, and cost you animals because you had to give. I'm not.
You had to pay their dowry.
It's quite sad, but that was the reality. You had to pay them for someone else to
take them off your hand,
to take them into marriage, and yeah. So I guess if it were 10 boys, you would be doing quite well for yourself.
You could just send them out to the field and do nothing yourself.
Well, especially when you get older, you would need a boy to take over the field.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. But there's no reference to gender in this. It is just 10 times. I suppose
he just wants 10 children. Yeah.
That's for thyself to breed another thee, which is again this idea that your children are an extension of you. And that I was having a chat because of something else with my other half last night, and it's less of a UK thing, seeing your child as a version of you. I think in modern day UK we kind of see children as people, but we were chatting and this is talking in very general terms, but in the US it seems this idea of children being a younger you has propagated a lot longer, maybe not quite until now, but more recently, because you still have people being called your father's name Junior,
yeah.
So the idea that, and this would have been prevalent in Shakespeare's time, that your child, if it was a son, was essentially you reborn. Which is, I find quite interesting.
Who needs cloning when you can just have children instead? Or a lot easier. Nature's way of cloning. Well, it is nature's way of cloning.
Cloning with a few changes, a few minor changes, and
you need to adapt. Well, you are a clone of two separate entities, so you're a mixture basically.
Yeah, that makes
which they didn't understand in Shakespeare's time anyway. They didn't have DNA. Well, they had DNA, but they didn't know about it.
They didn't have DNA. That hadn't evolved yet. I'm getting to young Earth creationism now.
It was very primitive in 1500.
They just had 2 rocks, and that was it. So I'm just wondering if we were talking about perfume in the last one, and whether that's carried on through this one. And it makes a reference to distillation again. So in thy summer, ere thou be distilled, make sweet some vial, treasured thou some place, with beauty's treasure ere it be self-killed. So that's quite a dense couple of lines to work your way through. But it is talking about this distillation. You should pass it on. And also maybe seeing that what we call a perfume may be taken on more of a sexual tone, in the sense of it's your...
It does look that way, like the
it's your potency.
The vial would be the womb, and with beauty's treasure ere it be self-killed, his perfume, if it isn't passed on, it's just got to be lost. And
yes, he shouldn't be making... what was the phrase from Sonnet 2? Making hate.
Yeah, we had that fantastic line.
Making something with thyself. Making... we'll have to go back and find it. But yes, he wouldn't be doing that anymore. He would be making children, and hopefully 10 of them.
It's quite a job, 10 children.
You could say that. The making of them, or the looking after of them, or everything.
Well, I mean, the making of them, if it works out every time, now that is only having sex 10 times, and...
Not many people would describe that as work.
No. It can be.
And yes, I suppose if you're having trouble conceiving,
if you have Shakespeare standing in the back going, go on, go on, go on.
That's quite a disturbing thought. Just this man there going, well done. I knew you were beautiful enough. Go on. Yeah, that's quite a disturbing image. The last 2 lines, be not self-willed, for thou art much too fair to be death's conquest and make worms thine heir. I like that. Don't be selfish. You're far too beautiful to court with death and then just have wormy children, which is essentially it seems that saying is that your only children will be worms because they'll be feasting off of you.
And we also have the self-willed, which apparently again is a make something with thyself reference.
There's masturbation all over these sonnets. Who would have thought? I didn't know that coming in. That wasn't a pun. I'm sorry. Yes. So this is a very interesting sonnet. In fact, it's a very interesting couple of sonnets, and the some of it is quite fun. It's one of the ones I've most enjoyed reading, I have to say. When all the 10s start coming in, or 10 times happier, be it 10 for 1, 10 times thyself were happier than thou art, if 10 of thine 10 times refigured thee. It's quite a nice metered paced sonnet. So I quite like that. So if you have to read one out loud for any reason, maybe read this one, and the adults you're reading it to won't know that you've got a sneaky masturbation reference in there, which is always fun.
That is why you read Shakespeare.
To get the sneaky sex jokes.
They should have taught us that in school, that there's so much sex in there. I have a feeling that most of us would have been more interested in Shakespeare. I mean, I quite like Shakespeare in school, but it was quite a tough subject to get across to most people.
Yes.
Mainly because it is so dense, and it's not obvious that he has quite some carnal images in there.
Yeah, they're deep. And that's something I'm finding as we read them. I read them, before we do the show. and I read them and go, I don't understand a word of that. I don't understand what's meaning. And then through this conversation I have with you, it's very much me unpicking the sonnet as we go, and you suddenly see all these hidden messages. It's far different to modern poetry, I guess, which is a lot more accessible. This, you need to think about it for a while, but it's good, and I would recommend anyone read them, and read, if you can, do it like we're doing, read it with someone else, and you can bounce ideas off each other, and you won't sound, well, the advantage of that is they're not being recorded and showing how ignorant they are on a podcast, whereas that's exactly what I'm doing. So definitely good. Let's leave that one there. That was Sonnet 6. I'm going to let Thierry read it out, who will do it faultlessly, I'm sure.
Don't raise expectations. I'm going to stumble on the first line now.
I can't wait.
Sonnet number 6. Then let not winter's rugged hand deface in thee thy summer, ere thou be distilled. Make sweet some vial, treasure thou some place with beauty's treasure, ere it be self-killed. That use is not forbidden usury, which happies that pay the willing loan. That's for thyself to breed another thee, or 10 times happier, be it 10 for 1. 10 times thyself were happier than thou art, if 10 of thine see it happen. If 10 of thine 10 times that's not a good line.
No.
If 10 of thine 10 times refigured thee, then what could death do if thou shouldst depart, leaving thee living in posterity? Be not self-willed, for thou art much too fair to be death's conquest and make worms thine heir.
Very good. That was Sonnet 6 by William Shakespeare. I've been Mark Chatterley.
I have been Thierry Heles.
And you've been listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets. I shall see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets with Mark Chatterley and Thierry Heles. This has been an In-Ear Entertainment podcast. To listen to other podcasts or find out more about In-Ear Entertainment, go to www.inearentertainment.com.